All right, y'all, I hope you're ready for this story because it's a wild one. You will not believe what this lady did. So, this lady's husband died. He's pictured here on the left. And after he died, she found out about the secret life that he was living. She literally got so angry or irate that she ate his cremated remains or ashes. So Jessica Waite's husband, who was Sean, he died suddenly on a business trip to Texas. It was a heart attack. She thought before and even right after his death that they had the perfect marriage. But really, in all reality, it was not what it seemed. So Jessica was already grieving due to the death and planning funeral arrangements and whatnot. And she was struggling to care for her 9-year-old son, but her world got worse. It was just a few days after Sean's death that she discovered all he was hiding. So she was lying in her bed at her home and she opened up Sean's iPad. She was going to search for the Houston hospital where his body was being stored. As Jessica was typing the word Houston, it immediately auto-filled to Houston Escorts. She was immediately confused, so she started scrolling through the search history, and a bunch of disturbing posts and keywords showed up like girls, locations, prices, and services for escorts. So over the next few months, Jessica actually discovered that the man she thought was a loyal husband had actually been a habitual user of prostitutes, dropped the F out of P, and he had several affairs. His infidelity and obsession with sex and prostitutes went years back. She said she found out that Sean was absorbed in and interested in internet-driven sex and pornography, dropped the C out of P, and she found out that it had literally consumed him. She really struggled to face the truth. So Jessica ended up writing a book, and it's called The Widow's Guide to Dead Bastards, and it was kind of to document what she went through. She stated in her book that the world that Sean had built on the surface with like his family, his career, and their beautiful home was all matched in size and scope with his immoral activity. He literally lived a double life. Remarkably, she eventually was able to forgive Sean, especially since they had shared many good times together. Reportedly, Jessica and Sean married in 1998, and he ended up taking a job as a manager at a business in Denver, Colorado. And he would stay there at his bachelor pad for 3 weeks at a time, while Jessica would stay back at their home and maintain and take care of their child, their little boy. She said that despite their distance during those 3 weeks that he was gone, that they were happy, or she thought they were. So she said the shock after all of this was bad enough, and as if that wasn't bad enough, the next blow was when she was attempting to deal with overdue credit card bills. And that was for his work trips, and that included expensive hotels and expensive services, like room service. She ended up asking for itemized receipts from the hotels, hoping that his former employer would pay her back some. But when the receipts came back itemized, there were always breakfast for 2, bottles of wine, everything was ordered in pairs. And that indicated he was cheating or having somebody at the hotels with him. She was horrified, so she went to a friend and told a friend that she thought that Sean had been cheating and that he was getting escorts at his hotels, bringing them back. However, her friend had more bad news and said that Sean had confided and told on himself that he had been having an affair with somebody he met through work. Jessica said in her book that the truth literally began to overwhelm her. And I can totally imagine. She said it drove her mad. So one day when she was dealing with a lot of anger, she cut open the bag that his ashes were in and carried them to her garden, and she mixed some with dog feces and threw that mixture in the trash, and then she saved some for herself. The rest she literally ended up eating. She says she desecrated the remains of her partner in life. She said the remains felt dry against her fingertips, and they were coarser than baking powder and grainier than salt. She said they mixed with the tears that she was crying. It was like mineral mud on the back of her tongue, and she swallowed them. She ate his remains, cremated remains. She admitted that she was completely detached from reality in the wake of Sean's death. But there was more humiliation in store. When Jessica traveled to Denver to clear out his bachelor pad, Sean's bachelor pad, she found a hard drive. She plugged it into her computer, and she found out that Sean had created numerous electronic folders, and they were filled with hundreds of hours worth of corn, drop the C out of P, and they were all categorized by age and race and the source in which they came from. She said he was so completely obsessed with this, he would work on these explicit files all during the night, all hours of the night. She spent hours upon hours going through the archive and trying to figure out exactly what was going through her husband's head. He eventually stopped though, and she realized that the corn she was watching and going through was actually rewiring her own brain, because she was going through so much of it and watching so much of it, going through all these files. She even wrote that she had been in the audience of a high school play when she caught herself imagining one of the schoolgirl actresses naked. Oh my gosh. She said she briefly fantasized about killing herself, and she imagined it would feel good fading into nothing. But that was her turning point. She realized she had to concentrate on her son, Dash. So she then went and got psychological help, and she even got advice from a spiritual medium. So it's been 9 years since all of this, and she still has countless questions about Sean's actions, motives, but she has finally reached peace with his death and his betrayals. But she stated in her book that he was not only a liar, cheater, and betrayer, but he was a good son who loved and honored his parents, and he was a loving father to Dash and very very well respected by his colleagues. Even today, she still finds out more secrets though. For example, not long ago, their son Dash found a built-in secret compartment in Sean's workbench that was meant to hide the weed that he swore for so many years he didn't smoke. She has now met somebody else, and she's trying to help others assess their grief and get through it, and how to learn to accept everything. She said that she knows some scars will never go away, but she says she feels better and stronger than before, and she still cries every day, and she still feels like a part of her died, because the part of her that existed within Sean did die. The story is absolutely wild and heartbreaking too. I can't imagine the pain she went through with him suddenly dying like that and then discovering all of his secrets. Grief is already bad enough, then mixed with that, oh my gosh. For more content, don't forget to hit the follow button and to visit my website at www.truecrimewithmegan.com.